Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all of you here in the sanctuary of the Metro East Unitarian Universalist congregation, where we gratefully share sacred space with the Edwardsville Masons and listen to our knitters. Thank you. And greetings to those watching remotely and from the future. This is a welcoming religious community. We're glad you're here. My name is Jamie Riedessel. My pronouns are she, her. I'm also your treasurer for my sins, but I'm enjoying it. And I'm delighted to welcome you all here today. If you're new here, you picked a good day to show up because it's potluck day. So after this, we got some food for you. And then you can join us and say howdy to people you may not have known. So if you're new, welcome to everyone in this home of spirit, comfort, justice, and hope. And now that I've got you all calmed down again, invite you all to take a moment to greet someone you don't know as well this morning, not the people you're just talking to, but make a new connection and maybe meet over potluck later. I'm sorry, we're not talking. Yes, we do. Our prelude today is being played by Joy, of course, and the handout you have includes some words. We don't ask you to sing along, but this is just to follow along with what's going on. And if you happen to know the song, I know we wouldn't say no to some singing, but hey, you're not expected to. Thank you. An important ritual for us in the Unitarian Universalist faith and practice is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations for the flaming chalice, including the light of hope, the warmth of reason, and the flame of community, or however it is we do that. If you are watching from elsewhere and have a candle or chalice next to you, now is the time to light it as we join in saying the words, which are actually on the screen. This is a 2-pager. Heritage of us who light our chalice in the name of freedom, in the light of reason, in actions of tolerance. We gather in community to celebrate a heritage of freedom, reason, and tolerance. Our heritage bids us light our chalice in the name of faith, in the light of hope, in actions of love. We gather in community to celebrate a heritage of faith, hope, and love. Let us bring this Unitarian Universalist heritage into our lives today. That was 3. I believe there was a correction shouted from the technical pit, just so you know. Anyway, our reading today comes from Daniel Harper, a noted UU blogger, and from something he wrote back around 2008. The blog post is titled Unsystematic Theology, Salvation, which is not a topic we talk about much around here. So, back when I was a Unitarian Universalist kid, I vaguely remember hearing an old Unitarian profession of faith that has long since long since been superseded in liberal religion. Written originally by James Freeman Clarke in the late 19th century, that old profession claimed that the Unitarians believed in the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the leadership of Jesus, salvation by character, and progress onward and upwards forever. I doubt many religious liberals would accept Clarke's affirmation today because second-wave feminism made us realize that the gender-specific language doesn't work. But the notion of salvation by character remains important for many religious liberals. Liberal religion wants to affirm that human beings are in large part responsible for their moral choices. We can choose to solve society's problems. We can choose to address social sins. And when we choose to tackle social problems and social sins, we are exhibiting good character. Salvation happens through the conscious efforts of persons of good character. Thus, it appears that religious liberals link sin and salvation, where sin is understood primarily as a social sin. We humans have to save humanity from social sins like racism, global climate change, and so on. If we think of religion as having both a horizontal dimension, relationship between human beings, and a vertical dimension, relationship between human beings and the divine, liberal religion characteristically emphasizes the horizontal dimension among people, and attenuates the vertical dimension of religion, so too is salvation. Many religious liberals do not affirm the existence of a divine being or beings, and for them, the vertical dimension of salvation is vastly attenuated. Salvation is a human responsibility, with a small vertical dimension insofar as humans respond to abstract ideals. Many religious liberals do affirm the existence of God, goddesses, or other divinities, but they are very unlikely to say it is up to God or whatever whether or not the world is saved. Religious liberals assume it is up to us humans, not to a divine being, to solve problems. The metaphor of vertical and horizontal faith is quite useful. For what I'm talking about later, as well as the salvation by character. More on that later. Our first hymn is in the Teal Songbook, and it's all about the light of hope and actions of love. Number 1017, Building a New Way. We are It is tradition here at the Metro East. Apparently, we've had some reverb. All right. You can just turn that off. Okay, anyway, they can deal with it back there. It's a tradition here at the Metro East Unitarian Universalist congregation to place each service within the larger values that we hold dear. This week we lift up the one value of pluralism. Just pluralism today. Sometimes it's hard to pick what values I'm talking about. This one wasn't even a problem. It was staring me at the face. It's pluralism. Today's topic is my journey in answering the forever question of what do you use believe from people who really want to know. Many of you have encountered this question over the years, and there is little more pluralistic than having to explain your beliefs to people willing to listen. So, which brings us to our joys and sorrows ritual, because we need a little bit of this before we get into the lecture portion of today. As part of our weekly worship service, we take time for the expression of joys, concerns, and sorrows. Home for us means a place where we can each share things that weigh us down or lift us up, and where those we love surround us, in good times and in turmoil. If you'd like to recognize a joy, sorrow, or milestone, you can come forward and place a stone or several stones in the water bowl to represent your joys or sorrows. There are stones here at the front. I invite you now to come forward down the aisle across my left here, across the front. Choose a stone, place it in the water, and then get out of here. If you're not able to navigate this for any reason, please raise your hand and someone will carry it for you, for we are generous people. Let us be in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Now we invite everyone to watch our video for today's Time for All Ages. This month's theme is Embracing Possibility. This video from PBS is about challenges of starting at a new school. For those of us who are well past our school years, we face with this every time we start a new job. So please, listen.
Starting a new school is hard because you don't know anybody and it's like scary.
Where did we move from?
New York to Pennsylvania.
Right. Were you nervous at all about anything?
She was a little scared, but I wasn't.
You weren't?
A little? I felt nervous and then I felt brave.
What made you feel brave?
My friend Lily helped me on the first day of school.
Were you nervous on the first day of school?
Not really, and I kind of was.
This year was a little bit different because you had a new teacher.
Have you had to start a new school?
I had to go to a new school. I was really sad because I didn't want to leave my old school. And after the first day, I loved it.
You loved it? After the first day?
Because I met some new friends. And the teachers were really nice.
Yeah.
And the class was really cool with really cool materials.
When we moved and you went to the first day of school, what made you nervous?
Meeting other kids, feeling scared.
And then once you got there, how was it?
Well, when I got there, my friend Lily walked up to me and said, "Hi, my name is Lily. Would you like to be my friend?" And then I said yes. And then she said, "Are you new to this school?" And then I said yes again. And then she said she's new to this school, but she didn't move because we were in kindergarten when we first met up. So we were both new to the school.
Do you remember when you found out Miss Jocelyn wasn't coming back? What was that moment like?
I was crying.
Yeah.
But she was a good teacher.
And then remember the first day of school? We had a conversation just about doing your best, being open-minded, being okay with a new teacher, right?
Yes, but it's hard because I missed her.
It was a little hard in the beginning to adapt to because you didn't know how you would do with the new teacher.
What do you do on the first day of school to get through that?
Mindful moments and just taking a breath and being focused on the present moment and just knowing how to communicate, right?
I tell myself it's okay and I can be brave and I can do it.
Yeah.
Do you think that when you were going to your first day of school, that it was easier for you guys because you went together as brother and sister?
Yes.
That's really nice to have, even when you're at school.
If you have a brother or sister, you can just play with them. You won't just play alone.
That's right.
Let's say you have a friend and they tell you they have to start a new school and they're really scared. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that if you just go into the new school for a little while, it wouldn't be so scary anymore because you would get to have new friends.
Yeah. If you told me that, I would feel better. A little bit better about starting a new school.
Original funding for PBS Kids Talk About was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, from Anne Ray Foundation, a Margaret A. Cargill philanthropy, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Although that's more viewers like you now than it was when this was made, because, that's our government. So, that's here. And this is time to sing out. So, you journey as you journey, may you know, love and hope go with you, love and hope go with you, learn and grow. All right. That brings us to the talk. All right. So, what do Unitarians believe? So, what was the question that stumped me and Amy that Dad asked? It was, how do Unitarians talk about sin? Don't you go to church to learn about sin? And that blew both of our minds because neither of us had really thought about things in that way. We don't talk about it here, really, and we just didn't have the theological background to interpret what we're doing here versus what Dad was coming from. And it spawned this talk. It's going to take me a while to explain this one, but for those of you who come to us from other Christian religions are here in part because we don't talk about sin. And some of you are like me and never really had a formal definition, and which is why I was thrown by Dad. But sin, at its base definition, is violating divine law. It came out of the Christian tradition. Other faiths picked it up just because it's omnipresent here or it's a good idea. Islam has it. Others picked it up and translated it for their own reasons. But yeah, it's violating divine law. Now, in the context of UU, it is important to remember that for most of European history, a good chunk of it, secular and divine laws are not clearly separated. Kings were anointed by the Pope to rule over people in Christ's name. And very wishy-washy. It's like, is disagreeing with the king sin, or is it merely something you shouldn't do? Don't know. That ambiguity is pretty useful if you happen to be the person on the throne. And for most of Western Europe, that's just how it worked. And until Martin Luther did his thing, and the various thinkers out there said, wait, he's getting away with it. I have some ideas too. What if those will work? And various other rulers went, wait a minute, that guy's getting away with it. Maybe we can break some of the power of the church, like a certain King Henry of England, who decided to break from the church and centralize their theological power on the crown, thus increasing his own, and thus launched a century and a half of warfare across Europe. Hurrah! But that also led to the Puritans, which matters because, weird as it sounds, UUs did start from the Puritans, as did most of American Protestantism. Clearly, we made a few choices along the way to get away from that, but that's kind of why I'm here. But the Puritans, way back in the early 1600s, had clear ideas about sin. One of their core doctrines was something called total depravity. Man is base and sinful by nature, incapable of good works without divine intervention. Even if man makes a good choice, that is in fact in service to badness because they don't have that divine intervention and they're just not possible. Total depravity. Only God can make you a good person. They also believed in predestination and that some people are going to go to heaven and some to hell and are born that way. Those going to go to heaven are the elect, and that's just how it is. But to go hand in hand with this one was another one called limited atonement, which is that the divine grace, the possibility of heaven, was only made possible for the predestined by Christ's sacrifice on the cross, which is at odds with how most of Protestantism works in America today. But so that limited atonement, the atonement of your sins by Christ's sacrifice, only is for the people who are predestined for heaven. In this model, those predestined for heaven, the elect, need to hold themselves to the highest moral and divine standards to honor this election. It was a very shame-based culture. As Daniel Harper was talking about, that vertical measure of faith was everything for them. It was all about the relationship between yourself and the divine. Everything. But that's where things like a misbehaving child would hear things like, do not disgrace your divine father. When you go to heaven, you don't want him to be ashamed that he elected you to go to heaven. And similar things like that. Not a great place to live if you were there, but we kind of got away from that. Fast forward 200 years, we're not going to stay there too long, to December 1836, where one Reverend Charles Farley gave a sermon at the afternoon service of the Presbyterian Methodist Church of Alton, where he explained what Unitarianism was all about. And if you didn't catch the subtext there, that was the first one that Reverend Farley served in our church. He spoke about sin a few times in there, and this one comes from page 17 of his talk. It's like 23 pages. I read the whole thing. It was useful. But the thing is, let's put it this way. It was about what Unitarianism is, and he took a long time to do that. Sermons were a lot longer back then. We've gotten out of that habit because people have shorter attention spans now. So here's just a single paragraph that talks from that one. Let's see here. The next point of difference between Unitarians and other Presbyterians, Protestants, relates to the depravity of man. We reject the doctrine of total depravity. We do not believe, as the creeds say, that man is wholly inclined to all sin and wholly disinclined to all goodness. We do not believe, as the standards of the Presbyterian Church tell us, that, quote, all man by the fall lost communion with God and are under his wrath and curse and liable to the pains of hell forever. This is a complete break from one of the three Puritan doctrines I just explained, the depravity of man. This statement believes that people are capable of good works without divine intervention. So people have more agency over what happens to them after death. It goes on elsewhere to say that salvation was in fact possible before Jesus, and it is possible to achieve salvation without the help of Jesus, which is a radical thing to say back in 1836, but that's also a more familiar sentiment here 190 years later. The sidebar of this one is the idea that between the fall from Eden and Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, everybody in the middle went to hell. And that is definitely implied in a lot of other theologies and is actively preached in certain Christian faiths. Not necessarily this one. We got away from that. As by 1836, we weren't doing it. So that's pretty clear. This next bit from his sermon is on page 18, on the next page. Again, I'm not reading the whole thing. It'd take too long. On Unitarian ground, no plea of invincible necessity to sin can be made. His sins are acquired. His blood is upon his own head. Woe unto him if he will sin. Our system in this respect, we think, infinitely truer and stricter than the popular one. It leaves the sinner no excuse. This refutes predestination. The actions you take in this life will be judged later, and there are no free passes. And I actually say that his prediction 180 years ago that we think this infinitely truer and stricter than the popular one is kind of how most American Protestants go right now. It's like, sin is on you, boo. There's no free passes. It's on you. It's all, but your actions will have consequences later on. So yeah, this is very mainline Protestant stuff so far 190 years ago. But this refutes predestination, the second of those things. And this third quote comes from an earlier page. It talks about the atonement, which I talked about earlier, about the limited atonement that the Puritans had. Unitarians are charged with denying the atonement, whereas they can only differ from their brethren or other denominations in the views in which they take of it. Undeniable stress is laid upon the word atonement, but we must repeat what has been repeated 1,000 times before, that the word atonement occurs but once in the New Testament, and then as a translationable word, and it occurs often, that is rendered reconciliation, and it should have been so rendered here. But let the word atonement stand. We dare not say, indeed, that God could not save us in any other way than through the mission and death of Christ, but we receive the atonement through the free grace of God. Again, this is from earlier in this sermon, but it's in conversation with the Unitarian quote I just read. Atonement, reconciliation is granted freely by God, not limited to the elect, freely. So this is a full refutation of those three precepts I was talking about before. So we've already taken a hard turn to the left here and turned from where the Puritans started. But what about the Universalists? There's another U in there besides the Unitarians, and he actually talked about that too. This is a lot earlier when he was listing a whole bunch of things that we are not. And one of the things we are not are Universalists. But it does talk about the Universalist approach to sin. Universalists are divided into two classes, one called the Restorationists, the other the Ultra-Universalists, or no future punishment Universalists. The Restorationists hold many articles of faith in common with us as Unitarians and all their Christian denominations. They differ chiefly from us in believing that the doctrine of the final restoration of all men to eternal happiness is a doctrine of the Bible as positively revealed as that God is our Father, while most, if not all, Unitarians do not believe in this to be a positively revealed doctrine, but a fair presumption of reason grounded on what they know of the character of God from his works, his providences, and his word. They are content with saying, we entertain a benevolent hope that all men will at some future time be restored in happiness. An ultra-universalist denies that there is a future state of righteous retribution and insists that all punishment for sin in this world. The ultra-universalists do not believe in hell. Anything that happens, any bad happens, comes to you in this life. Kind of a radical thought. But the restorationist point of view regarding the role of sin is congruent with most people's modern understanding that sin has consequences post-mortem. If you sin, hell happens. QED. I mean, that's kind of baseline Protestantism in America right now. And the no future punishment group was smaller and absolute radicals for proposing that no one goes to hell or even faces purgation because such activities happen here ante-mortem because the world will make sure that you'll get yours if you do bad things. And most universalists are recognizably Protestants, American Protestant in their approach to sin and its consequences, but from a very forgiving corner of Christianity, liberal, if you will. The Universalists arguing between these camps ended up creating a schism. In the Restoration, it's mostly moved into the Unitarian churches in the 1840s, and some 120 years before the rest of them would join us, and only for the remaining ultra-Universalists swing back towards Restorationism by the end of the century. Now keep in mind, the end of the 1800s was a very tumultuous time. The robber barons were now widely seen as a net bad thing. And we had seen an entire country see people get filthy, stunk-ing rich and die extremely happy. And it believes right here in your core of your heart that you want to see someone get theirs, and that idea that they'll get theirs in hell is very strong. And so, yes, maybe everyone won't get theirs in this world. Some will, in fact, face some sort of hell in the afterlife, and that emotional thing carried us forward. Well, now, a detour to the 1861, which brings us to our second hymn, John Brown's Body. You know the tune. It's the Battle Hymn of the Republic, but that tune was circulating as early as the late 1700s, and people remixed it with whatever lyrics seemed handy. This version was published in 1861 in the Chicago Tribune, and therefore is copyright-free and we can use it, and is something that Reverend Haley, who served in this church from 1853 to 1856, likely would have belted during the Civil War. Think of this one like an 1861 version of the 2014 Say Their Name protest songs, is very much in the same tradition. So. Struggling for the slave, his soul is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul is marching on. John Brown was a hero, undaunted and brave, and Kansas knew his valor when he fought her rights to save. Now even though the grass grows green above his hero's grave, his soul is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah, his soul is marching on. He captured Harper's Ferry with his 19 men so true, and frightened old Virginia till she trembled through and through. They hung him for a traitor, and they themselves the traitor crew. His soul is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul is marching on. Yes, this sort of song was in fact put to many different hymns, and it was in fact sung in churches, much like some things in our Gray hymnal were products of the 1950s and 60s protest songs. So, okay, 2026, finally, modern day, back out of the history. The word salvation is, in the Christian sense, hasn't been brought up from this podium from over a year. We just don't talk about it. And if we did talk about it a lot, some of you would not show up anymore because that's why you're here. Nor do we talk about sin. But here it is, the Puritans. They had a very clear idea about sin, utopian. But the thing about utopias is that they're intentionally isolationist. What they did is they went to this stark, pristine new world that is unpopulated and built for themselves a new way of living that was entirely in harmony with God, away from the secular distractions of politics and other things. In other words, again, with that Daniel Harper, that vertical access of faith was all they were focused on. They didn't really care about the horizontal stuff. 200 years later, when you listen to Reverend Farley, it was a far more of a hybrid thing with the thoughts that people were responsible for their own salvation and that others, that we have a responsibility to each other. It's like you are all individuals. That relationship between you and God is still yours, but we have this nice scripture in which to guide you in what's right and wrong. It was more of a hybrid thing. And now here we are 190 years later, and we don't use the words. We just inspire you to do good things and hope for the best. And it's up to you to do whatever it is you do with God's. And now about universalism. The thing about universalism is everyone will ultimately get salvation, but that has echoes in the politics of the moment. Take, for example, universal basic income. Universal is in the name. Everyone gets it. Everyone gets it. And the reason we have such pushback against something like universal basic income from, weirdly, the religious right has to do with this concept of universal. In that, okay, looking back to a more recent version, for the welfare reform of the 1990s, and Bill Clinton, Biden, and a few others got together to rewrite the social contract so that welfare was only possible to keep if you proved that you're trying to get off of it. And you're not just a layabout having babies for money. Now, this is a real world example, but what we're seeing here is what I call the politics of deserve. And this falls hand in hand with this idea coming from the Puritans ultimately that you only give scarce community resources to people who are going to have a chance at salvation. You don't give scarce community resources to people only going to go to hell. Which is why universalism is a radical prospect, because it gives it to everybody regardless, even if they may be using it wrong. Means testing, all this sort of stuff is all part of the universalist tradition that we have, that radical horizontal religion Daniel Harper talked about in the reading I had earlier. And this congregation is this congregation is Unitarian of the self and Universalist outward. Unitarian is that you are the only governor between yourself and whatever divines you hold, if you even do divines. Some of you don't. Some of you are strict humanists. It's only about people, and some people have conversations, have found Buddhism, various other faiths or traditions that give you guidance and you hold true. And that's how it's supposed to work around here. It's like you do it yourself. But we're also here to make the entire world a better place through the values. God is not required. Now, back in my high school, like 9th grade religious education, one of the people who came to talk to us, 9th graders, was the father of a friend of mine whose day job was philosophy professor, which means he was in the right church, let's say. Yeah, but he showed us once a chart that blew my mind, and I just couldn't make any sense of it. And because it couldn't make any sense of it, it stuck with me. But now that I've done the research for this talk, I now have a much clearer idea as to what he was getting at. Like, it was a 3-stage chart. Like, on one corner we have people, and way at the top of the page was the divine. And this is Christianity in, say, the year 1000, in which you yourself, your relationship with the divine is so remote that you have to have an entire priesthood between you and the divine to be able to mediate that. That's not the relationship. If there is any, it's talking to like the highest levels of the religious hierarchy. It's not personal at all. Fast forward 600 years of the Protestant Reformation, and suddenly that relationship's a lot closer, the middle column. So that divine has gotten a lot closer. And that's a representation of the divine is now something you're supposed to have a personal relationship with. The priesthood is no longer required for the Protestant thinking. The priesthood is no longer required. It's up to you to work with God. And that is a closer relationship. And then the third one, the one that blew my mind at the time, was it was actually equals. It's like the relationship with the divine and the people are on the same level. And this, I believe, especially for the Universalist church I was attending at the time, because I went to First Universalist in Minneapolis, First Unitarian was a different church, was that horizontal aspect of faith that Daniel Harper spoke about. The divine is around us. And if we want to have a relationship with the divine, we just have to look around and see it. I believe that was the message that Mr. Hillstrom was saying back then. But that shows how the path of Unitarians have happened over the last 400 years since the Puritans landed. We went from this to more of a sort of sideways horizontal faith. Ours is a practice of radical self-determination. Now, back to the original question, what is Unitarian sin? Because I opened the question, I need to answer it. Every person has their own meaning, because every person has a unique relationship with the divine. And we're not going to tell you. You're not coming to church to learn about sin. You're coming to church to hear about a bunch of stuff and make your own decisions about whether sin is a thing you need to worry about. And if so, what are those rules? Because we're not going to tell you what they are. So, but the fun thing about being UU is if you ask 10 UUs what we believe, you'll get 20 answers. Because we cannot help. Each one of us is like, yeah, some people believe this, but also some people believe that. It is endemic everywhere. And for every joker that gives you 4 answers, you'll have a few people just give 1 answer. So it averages out to 2 to 1. It's just the way it works. My religion itself is entirely horizontal. Like I grew up in a Universalist congregation. This probably isn't a surprise. But my faith doesn't really have a vertical component. Maybe yours does. That's okay. Radical self-determination. That's all this is here. Thank you.
Is it charged yet? Okay. So this is off. The microphone's up. I just wanted to know.
Our final hymn is number 1021. Once we get the text up, they'll break.
Always tomorrow.
lean on. Lean, you're strong. I'll be your friend. All of you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. A very Unitarian song. As Robin comes around at the offering basket, or plate, I should say, as a gentle reminder that this is a community of faith supported only by your giving, and we're a little short this year. Stewardship is more than just financial donations, but also about donating time and talent to your church. If you're interested in board service, please talk to me. If you can't write a check, please help our church survive and thrive by offering your time to help make coffee, bring snacks, serve as an usher, serve on other committees, such as helping with worship on occasion or the board. Please donate all you can with your time, talent, and treasure. All are needed for our church to prosper. Also, if you give cash, please put it in an envelope so we know who you are, so we can give you credit. Helps with, voting and things. However, this is your first time. This is our gift to you. And please join me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Announcements. All right. Next week we have Tony, who's going to be up here. Hooray! And on the 10th, we have Eden doing a baby dedication. First one I've seen myself, so this will be exciting. On the 17th, we have Lorna Williams coming with a piece portraying Mother Jones. And on the 24th, Andy Gerch is coming to us on Zoom. And happily, no breakdown today, so we don't have to do all the breakdown here. Woo! However, next week we do have to break it down. The streak ends.
I have an announcement.
You have an announcement.
Yes, the newsletter deadline is today,
Ah.
and nobody has sent me anything.
All right.
So if you all want a newsletter, send me something by this evening.
We have a newsletter
Otherwise,
today.
I'll make it up.
Indeed.
I think I also
What have you got? You got a few of the things you can pack this one. But what do you have there, Robin?
I'm working on the 26-27 worship calendar. Eden is in the schedule already, which is good. So, and Tony already volunteered for one. So if anybody's interested in leading a service, come talk to me. We'll get you plugged in. And also, I do need worship associates absolutely in May. No. Yes, Mo? What do I need it? No, June. I'm sorry. I think I got everybody covered here, but I need somebody for June because I have Annie coming back in June, so that's a Zoom service, and we need somebody to coordinate here. And then I also have Claudia also again in June, so I want to make sure we've got a worship associate here to take control over the things.
Excellent.
Thank you. Just let me know.
A way to get involved. Good job. Next up, Nikki Davis is talking about the National Alliance of Mental Health. NAMI is hosting a quarter auction at the Riverbend Family Ministries in Wood River on May 2nd. We are invited, and we should see it in the church this week. You have out, and it'll be out again, possibly even in the newsletter. Depends on how it goes. So,
If anybody makes Mary mad, we will not have it.
that's true.
Let's make Mary happy.
Also, choir practices are resuming in May because our after-church schedule is lightened up a little bit. So we'll be back to this one. Our first song that we did today was one we did in church. We did in choir, which is why I picked it. So next week, choir. Also, the Anna D's will be meeting on the 7th at Baker's and Hale at Godfrey at 11:30. RSVP to Sandy Shaner, although a few of us can hook you up if you don't know who that is. It's a good way to meet a bunch of people outside of here if you're interested, so definitely look those up. There's a men's group that meets too, although we're not announcing them today.
Why not?
We don't. They're not on the deck. Maybe there is a slide that slipped in. I don't know. No slide next. Okay. Okay. I invite you to join me in reciting this prayer as I extinguish the chalice. Light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. As I close out today, I want to point out that the Unitarian Universalism is now orthogonal, at right angles, to the Puritanism that was the origin in America. We are a people of radical self-determination for salvation, if that's even a thing you care about. But we are all here for us. That is definitely true. We are all here for us. Amen and blessed be. Now, post-salute, and then we can do a potluck. We have some words for that, too.
Yeah, there's words for that.
Yes, the backside. I am a Unitarian Universalist, and the backside has some words. If I'm a Unitarian, then gladly I rejoice that my beliefs and way of life are completely my choice. Then if I'm Unitarian, then I am really free to let myself be just the person I was meant to be. If I'm a Universalist, then I have come to learn of countless useful things to do that teach religious concern. If I'm a Unitarian, then I have come to feel that there is worth in everything as long as it is real. If I'm a Universalist, then I believe it's true that you can learn as much from me as I can learn from you. Thank you. And now time for food. And we'll need someone to count the basket that isn't me because I'm the treasurer and I have to do the deposit.